Lion Ted Cruz talked about New York values at the debate, and he talked about it with anger and really hatred.
The phrase New York values actually came from Donald Trump. You guys have been suffering under the misguided policies of liberal Democratic politicians a long, long time.
Donald Trump and Ted Cruz continuing their running argument over New York values. And it's time now for our Sunday group. Syndicated columnist George Will, Julie Pace, who covers the White House and the campaign for the Associated Press, Laura Ingraham, editor of LifeZette, and Rebecca Berg from Real Clear Politics. Laura, Trump has been complaining for weeks, and we heard some more of it today from his campaign manager about the delegate rules in some states. But I felt this week he started to make an interesting pivot, saying the fact that Cruz is beating him on the rules somehow shows that Cruz isn't the outsider he says he is. In fact, he's an insider. Is that going to work to sort of say that the failure of planning by the Trump campaign really is a mark against Ted Cruz?
Well, I think both sides are playing the cards that are probably the smartest cards for them to play. I mean, you can make the case against what Trump is saying. I mean, if you want to beat the establishment, if you want to win the presidency, you have to know the rules. Yeah, you have to get in there. You have to have your slates of delegates in places like California. You got 53 districts there. You have to present your own slate of delegates in each district. Looks like there Cruz is really doing the work, the groundwork. At the same time, I think it's smart for Trump to say, well, why are these people rallying around Ted Cruz if, in fact, he's the outsider that's really going to turn Washington upside down, as he claims? I don't really blame Trump for making that argument, because this is the last stretch of this campaign, and he is going to have an impressive win undoubtedly on Tuesday. He's poised to win Maryland. He's poised to win Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island.
Well, those are a week from today.
Well, they're coming up, but he's poised to win a lot of states. But you look at California, that is the one that I'm focusing on. That's 53 districts. 3 delegates in each district. Congressional district. He has to have 3 really reliable, good people in each district. Does he have that? I'm not sure. Cruz has had a lot on the ground for a long time in California.
Well, let's take a look at that, Julie, because as we pointed out in the last couple of weeks in these closed conventions, not statewide caucuses or primaries, Cruz has done very well, has basically shut out Trump in Colorado and in Wyoming. But as you look at the primary map, Trump is scheduled, it seems like he's going to do very well in New York, and then the following week in Pennsylvania and other states along the East Coast. Your sense, his prospects for getting to 1237, the majority before Cleveland?
One advantage that he has right now is he's the only one who can get to 1237. So that puts him in a better position than his rivals. He does have to have a very strong night in New York, not just in the popular vote, but in the delegate count. If you look at the states later this month in the Northeast, he looks to be in a strong position. He needs to win in a state like Indiana that offers a big delegate haul next month. California is crucial, though. And to Laura's point, you can have an overall popular vote victory in California. You get 13 delegates for that. 13. This is a congressional district game that he needs to be playing.
Yeah, let me just quickly explain that, because this is true in New York as well. If you get over 50%, you get the statewide delegates. In New York, I think it's 14. But then there's a separate race in each congressional district. If you get over 50%, you get all 3 delegates in that congressional district. If you don't, if you get 49%, you get 2 and the second person gets 1.
And if you're in a tight delegate race with Ted Cruz, that could be enough to allow Cruz to stop you. Now, Trump's people have been saying in Washington this week they can get 1265, which would put them over the top after California, but that is going to be a real organizational challenge for them.
George, I want to ask you about the other aspect, which I turned to Corey about talked to him about at the very end of our discussion, and that is this dual campaign operation that seems to be going on in Trump. Corey put the best face on it, but there is a sense of tension between the original group, like Corey Lewandowski and the team he put together, and this new, more establishment group like Paul Manafort, somebody who you and I have known since the Reagan years, and he's put together an operation here in D.C., and they're starting also to reach out to members of Congress. Is it smart to set this up? Should he have done it a long time ago?
It is smart, and he's very late to the party, literally to the party. I mean, he became a Republican sort of on June 15th. Before that, he was a funder of Democrats, and he had positions that were indistinguishable from the Democrats. What's puzzling about this is that on the one hand, he's coming to Washington saying, I want to get to know you and I want to deal with the leaders of the party. On the other hand, he says what happens in Casper, Wyoming and Colorado Springs, Colorado is too ruthless for me to handle. This is a man who boasts that he has thrived in the cutthroat New York City real estate market, boasts that he has done so by paying off politicians, and he finds Casper, Wyoming mysterious.
All right. Meanwhile, on the Democratic side, they had quite a debate in Brooklyn this week between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Here's a taste of it.
I stood up against the behaviors of the banks when I was a senator. I called them out on their mortgage behavior.
Secretary Clinton called them out. Oh, my goodness. They must have been really crushed by this. Was that before or after you received huge sums of money by giving speaking engagements behind them?
Rebecca, your thoughts about the debate and where the Democratic race stands now?
Well, I think that segment that you just played, Chris, illustrates perfectly why it is damaging to Hillary Clinton that Bernie Sanders is staying in this race, even as she is the likely nominee for the Democratic Party at this point, in spite of some victories for him that are likely down the road. You're going to keep seeing these attacks on Hillary Clinton that would be very potent in a general election setting. Republicans could very easily take that clip, use it in an ad in the general election in the same way that they can use his remarks about Hillary Clinton being unqualified for the presidency. These remarks can be very damaging for Hillary Clinton in the long term. And so I think that's why you see her now ratcheting up the attacks on Bernie Sanders, not because she dislikes him personally necessarily, not because she necessarily feels threatened.
From that debate, she does like
probably was a little bit annoyed. But it's really not necessarily an issue of her feeling threatened by him in terms of losing the nomination to him. But he is now at a stage where he is becoming damaging to her in a general election context, and she's hoping to push him out of this race as soon as possible.
That's exactly what I wanted to discuss with you, Laura, because I wonder, I think we would all agree, I mean, she still has a lead. If it just pledged delegates of more than 200, if you include the unpledged, the super delegates of more than 600. So the nomination doesn't seem in jeopardy, but is he damaging her going forward to the general election, staying in, attacking her, and also, maybe most importantly, pushing her to the left on some issues?
She's moved to the left clearly in a way that I think it's uncomfortable for what the Clinton legacy was, at least Bill Clinton's legacy on trade and all these issues. But when you look at the likability numbers for Hillary, that's where you really see the divide. So Bernie's much more likable. Hillary's leading in the delegate count. And then you have those images that you had in New York last week at NYU at the Arch and that unbelievable rally for Bernie at Washington Square. And it's just an unbelievable rally for him, the reverberations through the city. You heard the echo of Sanders and this Democrat kind of attempt at populism and a populist message against Wall Street, which of course Hillary has cozied up to for many years, made millions and millions of dollars from the Clinton's association with Wall Street. I think it really hurts Hillary, and I think all these polls or people are saying, well, Trump can never beat Hillary or Cruz is vulnerable. I think Hillary's the one who's vulnerable, and I think all bets are off on these projections about which Republicans can beat Hillary, given how I think damaged she seems in this whole process. I think she looks really tired. I don't think she looks inspired, and I think Bernie Sanders is probably going to be one of the Republicans' best friends when it comes to November.
All right, panel, we have to take a break here. We'll see you a little later.